We need to talk a little bit about rooftop units, otherwise known as package unit installation. We've been talking a lot about split systems and the proper ways to install and handle split systems, but let's talk about the rooftops. A rooftop unit is only as good as its installation. The longevity, the operation, the servicing of rooftops depends on how well the unit is installed relative to the manufacturer's recommendations and common sense. If a rooftop is installed improperly, the system will not work accordingly to its design specification, only marginally at best. Additionally, it can actually cause building damage if it's not installed properly and can cause roof collapses. Improper operating conditions will lead to a shortened lifespan for the unit. Poor installation practices make servicing the unit more difficult and can create unsafe work conditions and possible property damage. Pay special attention to the following on rooftop installations: the unit locations, clearances. Roof support is extremely important. Is the roof strong enough to support the weight of the unit? Rooftop curb choices and installation, electrical specification and hookups, gas piping if the unit has gas heat, condensate drain piping, and venting. Rooftop installation needs to conform with manufacturer specification and all local and national codes. You have to look at the National Electrical Code, National Fuel Gas Code, Uniform Mechanical Code, International Mechanical Code, and International Commercial Building Code or Residential Code. Consideration must be given for rooftop units so they are not subject to unduly harsh environments that can corrode the metal and its components. In some part of the country, salt spray near coastal areas and mists or fumes from nearby manufacturing factories are a real problem. Offensive smells can also cause problems because most rooftop units pull in outside air through their economizers. Another factor to consider in locating the rooftop unit is water runoff. A poor location increases the risk of water leaking into a building. You will have condensate that has to go someplace. The unit should be installed high enough off the roof to prevent water from collecting in the unit itself. When deciding on the location in the rooftop, keep in mind that a crane will be picking up the old unit off the roof and setting a new one on the roof. Cranes have a maximum distance they can reach out over the edge of the roof. If the location is too far away, then other means will need to be considered. Sometimes a helicopter will be used. Very expensive. This is a new unit being set on a rooftop unit with a crane. This is what's on the roof already is called a curb adapter. This is the original curb for the original unit. You have your gas piping here. There's electrical already up there. Rooftop units that must be installed in a level location. This allows the condensate collected from the evaporator to be drained properly. On flat roofs, leveling is usually not much of an issue. The use of a level is placed on top of the unit to check if it's set properly. If a rooftop is set on a sloped roof, other considerations will have to be made, such as building a platform, usually made of steel, or using a sloped roof curb. Maintaining proper clearances around the rooftop allows for proper condenser airflow, room for service, and room for possible economizer, proper exhaust venting from gas heat units, side duct conductors, or gas and electrical connections. Typical manufacturer recommendations call for at least 60-inch clearance above the condenser fan to prevent recirculation of air back into the condenser. 18-inch clearance around the condenser and 48 inches in front of the access panels. When servicing a rooftop, be careful not to damage the roof. When panels are removed, make sure they're put back and secured properly. Unsecured panels have been known to become dangerous flying objects when blown by the wind. The sharp corners from the panels can also puncture a hole in the roof, creating a roof leak. Roof strength is very important for obvious reasons. First, we must make sure the roof is strong enough to support the unit. The weight of the unit can be found in the manufacturer's installation instructions. Few examples: a Rheem 180,000 BTU of cooling is roughly 1,702 pounds. 240 BTU of cooling can be up to 1,796 pounds. A Lennox system with 60,000 BTUs of cooling, 535 pounds. This is a lot of weight to be in one area of the roof, especially when there's always a little bit of vibration. When the installation requires a roof curb, follow the installation instructions and install the curb properly and safely. The roof curb needs to match the rooftop unit, and it's because of where the supply and return air are. Has to be the correct length, correct width, and correct height. Normally, manufacturer supplies the correct curb for a particular rooftop unit, but when replacing an existing rooftop unit with another brand or size of equipment, an adapter is used. This adapter connects the old ductwork with the new ductwork. For new construction projects, the roof curb should be delivered and installed in the proper location when the rafters are up and before the roof is decked. This will allow the curb to be flashed and become part of the roof. The typical design for a roof curb is as follows. The height of the curbs may vary depending on the manufacturer. For example, you might have a 14-inch or a 24-inch curb, depending on how high the unit needs to be off the roof. The curb, when put together, is normally in a rectangular shape to reflect the shape of the rooftop. The top of the curb will be flat all the way around. The rooftop unit set on top of this flat spot and has a lip that extends down and around the outside of the curb. We use a gasket material between the rooftop unit and the curb to prevent water leakage, and it also provides it a little bit of vibration resistance as well. The rooftop unit is secured to the curb by some means, such as screws or bolts. The rooftop unit will generally have a nailer strip around its top edge for the roof flashing to attach to. The bottom of the curb will have a 90-degree turnout, so it would set on top of the frame of the roof, and the roofer can set the decking on top of it. The curb will have rails that are positioned inside the curb relative to how the ductwork will be installed. If the duct comes out of the side of the rooftop unit, then this position is not critical. If the ductwork comes out of the bottom of the unit, then the rails will have to be set accordingly. The curb may have insulated panels that will set between the rooftop and the portion of the curb under the condenser. The roofer provides counterflassing, insulation, and can strip, which goes all on the outside of the roof curb. So this is a completed rooftop unit. Again, we have our curb down here. We have our transition curb, and we have the new rooftop unit on top of it. Notice even though the rooftop is the roof is slanted, the rooftop is level. When you're installing rooftop equipment, you need to be extremely careful that your fingers don't get under it. This gentleman right here has his fingers in a handhold, and it's probably not the best position for him to have his hand in. Okay, if this drops, he may not be able to remove his hand fast enough before his fingers get slammed against the curb. This gentleman is doing it the right way. Roof curbs need to be installed square to the roof relative to the roof joists. The purpose is so that the plenums, when dropped into the correct positions, will line up with the roof joists. The advantage to installing the curb on the roof during construction phase, it makes the job much easier to complete. If a rooftop unit cannot be set until a later date, the roof opening should be covered with plywood and a tarp. For installations on an existing roof, holes need to be cut for the return and supply duct. This is a complicated process and procedure as care needs to be followed to not weaken the roof structure. Concrete roofs require special saws. If the decking is wood, then the process is much easier. Once all the holes are cut, the curb is placed into positions, and the roofer takes care of the flashing and sealing. This is just how this all looks together. We have our supply and return plenums down here. Okay, we have an insulation and gasket material on top of the roof curb, and we set the rooftop unit on top of it. Another key aspect of setting the rooftop is the consideration for utility connections. Rooftop units may require high voltage wiring to run the motors and compressors and electric heat strips. Low voltage wiring is also needed to operate the thermostats. Electrical connections can come directly through the roof outside of the curb, or brought in from the building and connected to the unit through the unit. And all electrical connections must follow National Electrical Code along with local and state codes. Local and state codes will dictate what utilities the HVAC installer can run and hook up and what another trade needs to run. Also, what license the HVAC company holds will determine what work the installer can do. On new installation, the voltage requirements of the unit must be determined so the electrician can connect proper voltage for the unit. Voltages can vary and might be 208, 240 single phase, 208, 240 three phase, 460, 480 three phase, or higher. If high voltage needs to be wired from the electrical panel to the disconnect mounted on the roof. This is just an example of a rooftop unit. This is an old Carrier weather maker. Okay, disconnects on the side of the unit. The power is being run across the top of the roof, and you can actually see the gas piping behind it as well. Low voltage wiring will have to be run from the unit down to the system thermostat. The thermostat should be positioned at a central location in the conditioned space, close to the return as possible. Avoid installing thermostats in an area where supply air will blow directly on it. You also want to avoid drafts from doors to the outside and direct sunlight. Thermostats need to be mounted approximately 5 feet off the floor. If the unit utilizes gas heat, then a gas line will need to be connected to the rooftop gas valve. A gas shutoff valve needs to be installed on the gas line ahead of the gas valve as well as the regulator. Gas lines need to be sized to prevent excess pressure drop. Drip legs should be installed in the gas line as close to the unit as possible. And now there's one other thing. Drip legs cannot be installed on the roof if you have a cold environment that's going to freeze. They get installed inside the building. The reason for that is drip legs accumulate moisture, and if it freezes, it's going to break the gas line. So again, drip legs, check with local code and building officials. There again, if it's in a cold environment or any environment that has a chance of freezing, they need to be installed inside the building. So this installation here has to be an environment that's not going to freeze. Okay, again, we would install this drip leg would not be there if the environment's going to have a chance of freezing. During air conditioning, we need to remove all of the humidity the evaporator coil picks up. The condensate is collected that needs to be drained. The condensate drain should have a trap installed. The trap solves 3 purposes: prevents insects from finding their way into the rooftop unit, allows for proper condensate drainage, and prevents unconditioned air from entering the conditioned airstream. Okay, so there's a couple different methods of traps. You can buy a pre-manufactured trap, and you can buy field fabricated traps. Many rooftop units have draw-through evaporator coils. The blower is located downstream of the evaporator coil and creates a negative pressure across the coil. Therefore, the drain will be at a negative pressure when the blower is running. This can prevent the condensate from draining properly. Maintaining a water-filled trap will provide an air brake. Because of the trap, water will not be pulled back up through the drain when the blower is running. Condensate traps are necessary but can also cause issues. They can freeze when the temperatures outdoors drop below freezing, causing water in the trap to freeze. You want to try to prevent this from happening, such as insulating the trap if necessary, using heat tape. Again, if you're in a cold environment and the air conditioning is never going to run in the winter months, you really don't have to worry about this as badly.